Hello and welcome to another session of Mountain Home from Fallen Halls. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. If you're a brave soul who has been following this series and listening to it, I will again apologize for cutting out a big section of the recording from last week. I still feel bad about that, especially when I went and uploaded, it was like, oh, that's much shorter. So I am very sorry about that. But we are taking up following this year has turned over, and last time I told you about where the various settlements had gotten to, where the various things we did XP. We went over things. We got everything set. So all that sort of end of the year logistics, including trade, has been done, and we're going to be rolling into this is year 10 right now, or is this year 11? Year 10. So we're rolling into year 10. Repairs have been made, I believe, to the things that were damaged, so we're good on that. And we're going to start out with the sort of the beginning of the year. I want to ask a series of questions, and then I want to let everybody call scenes. I want to remind you, we're going to be talking a little bit later about our two entanglements this year, which we're going to kind of figure out collaboratively what those look like. One of them is a competition, like a competition, some sort of game, something in the hall. And we're going to figure out what that's going to look like. It could be physical, it could be a series of games, it could be a tournament, it could be storytelling, it could be all of these things. We can figure out what that is. But the other thing we're going to talk about is the cursed moon. And the cursed moon is going to be a sign of the coming of some trolls. We'll talk about what that looks like. But let's see. Has anybody gotten any advances that I should know about? Has anybody ticked up on anything recently? Anybody gotten any new special abilities?
I got a second point in Journey.
Hey, that might help with your stress. Good, good.
And I
finally have 1 point in study.
good. Oh,
Good.
you can come with me then.
Yes.
I took a point in convince.
Okay. All
so
right.
So I got 3 in convince now.
I
Tyler,
actually have a
yes.
special ability I need to pick, but I haven't picked
Oh.
yet.
Oh, you've been leaning into that quite a bit. Now, we had left last time you with an open question. Did you want to take a weariness for your character of one of those 4? And if you do, then you can clear all your current stress from your character.
I've thought about it, and I've gone back and forth and back and forth. Those wearinesses are really rough.
They're only rough in terms of them being a storytelling opportunity for you. You don't have to play them, but if you do bring them into play, that's an extra XP trigger.
And I think I'm going to take Unsteady.
Okay. And what do you think that unsteady looks like? Like, how does that manifest?
I think that it is I don't want to get too grim in this, but it's kind of getting, as I'm getting older, a little bit of the absent-mindedness, a little bit of the kind of in my own head rather than thinking out. It's not homebody, because there was a thing in there, that you don't like adventure. I still see Grunheld getting up for adventure.
Right.
And she's not selfish, because she's still going to think about the mountain home before she would think of, she's all about the community. But it is sort of this kind of, gets in the mists of reminiscing, and is a little more likely to kind of think of old times rather than keep up with what needs to be done right now.
So let me ask you a question regarding that. So sometimes in different various fantasy things, there are different versions of what age means. Of course, the Ents get slow and lay down roots. In Ars Magica, there's twilight. do you think that do the dwarves have something like that, or do the dwarves more like humans, or do they have something that's like non-magical but it's a little bit different? Like, how do you think that
I
happens? How
think
are you
looking
picturing
at
that?
how the weirdnesses fill up, there is probably a point where dwarves just kind of become so sedentary and so in their own heads, and in their own spaces, that they kind of just wall themselves off from everyone else.
Okay.
And I guess eventually for me personally thinking, kind of eventually cut ties to the point of, just sort of fading, and eventually they go back to join the earth and become one with the ancestors and all that sort of thing. Provided there's not some accident or war, which is probably the more likely way that dwarves
Right.
go out, and probably want to go out.
All right. I want to ask some. I'm going to do some world setting questions, and then I want to have you call scenes. Dockerel, what is a piece of news that you, and I mean you as in the grander you of the settlement, get from the old settlement, from the old home?
Um, Stone Light, right? Um, I think they had a series of good signs. Um, one of them was that there were a set of triplets born, which is like unprecedented and like, yeah, I mean, that's very unusual. Um, but the other thing is that you know how they in Stone Light they have like this one sort of beam of light that they carried all the way down into the cave. They dug back and they found another one that was naturally occurring. So they have a second deep light.
Interesting.
And they're looking for the third thing.
So you get very positive news from the old stead, which I imagine is both reassuring to some people, but also, to some people who've come here, things are going really well back at the old stead. And I imagine that there's a little bit of back and forth on that. Tolan, what news do you get about your particular family line and grouping back at the old stead?
I think our like oldest, person, a patriarch or whatever, has died. And there's like a weird, almost certainly unfounded rumor that like he was murdered. But like it was probably a stupid accident. But like there's always the nobody else was around, so somebody's gonna start a rumor thing.
I like that. So yeah, getting these weird messages from a couple of different family members, some of them completely disbelieving, and some of them like absolutely certain that is what has happened, and fearful
It's
of
not
that.
like, oh, he was whatever the dwarf equivalent of 90 years old is, and he fell off a ladder. What did you expect? But
I like that. Grunheld, what is the ritual or process or change that happens this year with the Leda? Like something happens with that particular group of dwarves. They've come here, they've been here a few years. This is the 10th anniversary of your thing. They were on the road for a while. Is it the death of someone? Is it them setting up an old ritual? Is it some conflict? What do you think that is? What do we see?
I think it's a conflict and also sort of a happy thing, but there's real mixed emotions because for the first time we have one of them marry a member of the home here. And there's conflicted feelings of from some where they're, this is they're not sure, do we really know these people, and but it is a bringing together, but it has, especially at the onset, it has a bit of the conflict that has to be smoothed over.
On the leader side, that's like somebody marrying into this place is a real, like, we're here now, we can't like that's a real closure for them, and there are some of the particularly the younger ones who are a little bothered by that. And then amongst your people, we've only known these people for 4 years. How there's no, I mean, they could turn out, to be terrible
Like
people. We don't
strangers.
know. Yeah. Give us another decade, and then maybe we'll talk about dating. But so yeah, I think there's that kind of undercurrent of tension going on. Dawson, who is the honored guest that you have, that the community has over the winter time? Is it someone from one of the factions? Is it a previously met person? Like who comes to visit and stay for a while?
I'm just scrolling through the NPCs.
Oh, absolutely. We got a big list of NPCs. I'm
Yeah.
putting a little weight on you here. Excuse me.
Okay, so I keep coming back to, I think Fishbane is coming and spending the winter with his daughter.
Absolutely. He's closed up his inn there. He's put it in the hands of his gaggle of goblin cousins. And he's made the long trek. Now that the roads are safe, thanks to Imperial intervention. And he's come here. And what do you think his reaction has been to this place?
I think he has opinions on the beer.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he disagrees with like how we're running bars or such. Like I think we just have like this big brewery that everybody comes and drinks at.
You all know beer. Like I will not gainsay you on your knowledge of fermentation or the fermentation arts. But you don't know how to run. It just, people are just coming in and they're just with the taps and the kegs. And it's making me crazy.
There's no accounting. Nobody keeps track of anything. You just
like, how do you know how much beer you have at any particular time? You've got to, this whole just in time process is it's just not working for me here. I just.
Is there ale? We drink it. Is there no ale? We make it.
There's a downtime. You've got downtime then.
What's next? You want us to charge people for bread?
Well, maybe not. But fancy bread, yes. Not the daily loaves, but, like pretzels or those sorts of things. You should be charging for those. Though I will say that certain kinds of bread are loss leaders. You put out on the table with some salt on them, and then people want to drink more.
Well, no wonder you have to keep an inventory.
So I think he is here through the winter time during the first part of this year until spring. Spring comes when he will ride back. So we can wrap him into some scenes here. So let's do this kind of the start of the year. We're in that first part of the year. Let's call some scenes here, and then maybe we'll talk about one of the entanglements, or maybe just some more scenes. So Dagriel, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I think that Fish Benina comes to me and tells me that her dad won't come and see all the cool things that she's found here because he's worried about the tavern and that how it's running. So we put together a plan to essentially have the scholars take shifts and write down all of his wisdom on running the tavern till he's set with it, and then we'll say, and Fish Benina would like to show you all of the things that she has found here. So all of the things that are named after Fish Benina. So
So you and the scholar sit down and you essentially create Fishbane's guide to tavern keeping.
exactly, which we'll probably sell at some point, but with royalties for him. But yeah, I think so. I think there's that sort of thing of going, because it's actually kind of foreign to us. This whole thing of, oh, there's beer because we drink beer. That's why there's beer. So
And I think eventually he will resign himself to that, but he very much thinks that you cannot have those procedures with the inn that you have up above. That at the very least needs to be run on a more capitalist approach to things.
and I stop and I say, well, would you like to take an apprentice?
What do you mean?
Well, we could send someone to you, or I mean, assume that you went to visit your daughter rather than come here and run a tavern. But we could send someone to learn your methods with you, or spend time up in the current tavern. You could teach them. It would go along with the book. They could go through and correct us wherever we had gotten something transcribed incorrectly.
Well, certainly, I would be interested in intern. An apprentice, an intern. It's an unpaid position, you understand, of course.
Well, we would assume room and board.
Oh, well, obviously that. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we can talk about
It'd
that.
be difficult to send food along there.
So of the things that Fish Benina has done, what do you think impresses Fishbane?
I think, wasn't she the one that discovered the gems and the land, the lava and all of that stuff? So I think that we take him down, like we kill off all the lights so that it's like when Fish Benina was doing her explorations. It's just us and lamps. And she sort of recreates that thing for her father.
And it is particularly interesting because you've got that jewel crafter area that you've got built there, and you've got that temple that you kind of that was one of the things that was kind of damaged that you've repaired.
Mhm.
And it's, you're not really using the lava so much, but it's there. It's that glow that's there. That's the warmest place in here, and the gems like will glisten and grab. And I think, Fishbane's, he's a merchant at
Mhm.
heart. And a workaday laborer. So I imagine there is a bit of jaw dropping, like him walking around, like just kind of stunned, and he comes back and he's like, and she found this.
Yes, it's yes.
and I think he doesn't even ask like what cut did she get? He doesn't even go to that. He's just kind of taken aback. And I imagine the last few weeks that the next few weeks that he's there, he is going around with her and having her tell him everything. And he can tell that what he is building up is a whole set of stories that when he gets back to his tavern, he's going to be like, well, my daughter is a scholar in Carrick Minor. And she found a lava-filled cavern with gems. And let me tell you some other things. And she saved this dwarven rune guy, Dazin Runejaw from the Monkey King at one point, and she has a whole set of stories he's going to be putting together.
Exactly. So hero, scholar, explorer, all of those things.
Excellent. And I think you also put on an opera at some point too.
Oh yeah, so we do the opera too. So that's
excellent. Tolan, what would you like to call for your scene here?
Okay, let's see. So many rabbit holes. Who would I talk to? I think
I'm going to give everybody a second chance for a scene, so
Okay.
we're going to have plenty of time here.
I think I want to get a bunch of like the various kinds of magic users we have here in the mine together and like see what everybody thinks about this whole dragon situation. Because I think Tolan is still on the let's get rid of it while it's still weak. kick. And so I think like try to get Dazan and Nabil and the poison elf lady whose name I should remember. Neverburn. All in one room, which I'm sure nothing terrible happened there. I'm sure they all.
Well, Wira is still here too, right?
Oh, Wira, is she?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
She's putting off going back as long as she can.
Well, actually, I think she went back.
I was thinking she was going to stay back for a while before
I think that time has kind of passed.
That's a bummer.
Or at least she's going to be leaving soon. So let's say that she's there. Nabil, definitely. Emberstone, who's one of your most expert speakers with spirits.
Yes. It's like I don't remember who all knows various magical techniques.
And I imagine there are a couple of people who are shard singers and rune mages, but no one nearly as practiced as Dawson or Emberstone. There.
Would you want to invite Ring Shoe down? The Tengu guy?
Yeah.
If you send word, he will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will come down
to get as many people together and hope they get along at least well enough to kind of maybe figure out what we want to do about this.
And they'll the Knolls will actually send one of their essentially druids here. And everyone is in there, and so how do you approach this topic, Talon?
I think you can't just like okay, this is what I know. I have a feeling other people know more or different things, but I thought it would be good if we would all come together and put everything that we know about this dragon on the table and see if any of us has some technique or spell or spirit that could fight it.
And there's various talks about chains and getting a dragon slayer in, or swords. There's some talk about can you poison an undead dragon. There's some discussion of what if we just kill all the gnomes? Would that happen? Doesn't I think it was you who spoke to the mountain about this, right? Was it you? Was it Tolan?
Yes.
Who was it who asked the mountain?
Oh, yes.
Well,
Oh, I believe it was Tolan, and I believe that the answer was ambiguous at best.
but said, what did the mountain say though?
That is a good
Let's
question.
see. My
Sure I
notes
wrote it
about him
down.
are that he's a polluting dragon, flew from its home in the fallen city. He's an imperious dragon who lives in
yes.
the echoes of the past.
When they fight fire with fire or something like that.
Yeah, here we go. Oh yeah. The mountain suggested using a dragon to fight a dragon. So where do we get a dragon?
Well, we do have an excessive abundance of lava. Maybe we could just drown him in lava, or make a dragon out of lava.
I think that's the moment that Nebail will look up and go, "That sounds like the worst idea I've heard yet today." I mean, but I'm willing to give it a go because I
Awesome,
can't wait
but
to see
also like a
what
terrible
happens when you
idea.
make a lava dragon down here, because that's going to be wild. And then returns back to the knitting. Rangsu will go, are you serious about getting a dragon?
That is the suggestion the mountain had. I'm not sure what we would do. I see, that's another thing. Like, do any of us here have an ability to control a dragon? I can talk to one, but
Oh, can you?
not in language so much, but yes, more or less. But there's no reason for them to listen to me.
I, I might know where you can get a dragon, says Ringsu.
Oh, you know a dragon?
Oh,
I don't believe that's what I said. I believe I said I might know where you can get a dragon. But it's not easy, and you would have to talk to some people that I know. So there's a historical animosity between the dwarf folk and the vermain, the rat folk of the deeps. I know we haven't seen them in this area much, if ever. They live
because we put out traps.
That is the kind of language that I think you should be avoiding as I go forward in my story. The ones that lived here in our area, caught as we are between the Empire of Iron and Empire of the Hours, they left. By making a deal with a dragon. And they have good, positive relations with that dragon. Essentially, the dragon helps them, they help the dragon. It's a sort of a symbiotic relationship. They are on the moon.
They left here for the moon.
That
All
is the
right.
dragon that I know. The only other dragon I know is the great dragon of the glaciers to the far, far south. I know of it, but that is another kind of journey. There may be the only other place I can imagine there might be a dragon, and we don't know, is the in the valley of the Mistland Valley. There are so many other fierce things there. Who knows? There might be a dragon.
Well,
So-
we
Is that horrible nightmare awful thing that you did with the moons, is that a one-time thing, or like only when the stars align in a certain way?
If you wanted us to do it, we could do it, but it would take some preparations. It is a ritual of some power. And I would have to, we would have to go and speak to the council of my people and see if they would be willing to aid you in this. I think, though, with the presence of an undead dragon in the area, I think that's a threat to everyone. And if they could get away with doing the minimum, i.e., not having to fight it, I think they would be inclined on that. If you needed to travel to the glacier too, we have baskets.
that's
Let's one
Thank you.
impossible hurdle at a time. Let's finish considering the incredibly costly and elaborate ritual to send people flying to the moon to parlay with rat people to get the help of their rat-loving dragon to come kill our undead gnome-loving dragon. My head hurts a lot right now.
We are in mythic times, my friend. We are in mythic times.
Can you put wings on your clay body?
I will not desecrate a sacred
And
form like
Rigzu
that.
goes, "You will not desecrate a sacred form." looks sort of upset about the idea of putting wings on that.
Parachute, then.
I'm sorry. Yes, we could a feather fall enchantment of some sort, so that if he were to fall out of the basket.
Ropes. We could also use a lot of ropes.
That is true.
Oh, we'll have to talk it over with the other founders, but I suspect we'll be taking you up on one of those two offers.
As you will. The other person you might speak to, if you want to know about Mistland, is Branthorn Thistle, the huntsman, who comes. I know he has treated with you very slowly to the ground, falling for hours, Dawson.
No! No!
The Tengu kind of flying past you. You still okay?
Is that a cloud? It's getting closer.
But yeah, so the meeting will kind of adjourn with that kind of like, people are like, okay, well, I guess we're going to get a dragon. Guess that's what's happening. Nabail will come over to you, Dawson, and go, just call me if you decide to do the lava thing.
I'll work up some plans, and you can consult on design work. I mean, this is just a theoretical, in case the highly rational trip to the moon to talk to the rat dragon doesn't work.
That does sound more rational, doesn't it?
Imagine what would happen when it just flapped its wings and whole spray of lava. Be very dramatic.
Yes, I'm calculating how
That'd be
many houses would catch fire in here.
Well, we wouldn't have it do that in here. That's ridiculous.
The operative word being we wouldn't have it do that. That implies a whole set of mechanisms that I am dubious that you can manage.
You're just arguing about design specifications. Give me time. I'll have perfect designs.
Absolutely, absolutely. I look forward to seeing the workings.
This would be an engineering masterpiece.
I love inspiring hubris. And they'll walk away. Grunheld, what would you like to do for one of your scenes here?
First, I'd like to ask, did we happen to improve our status with the elves when we did our mission with them, for them?
I think we gave you some reputation for that, is what we gave you for it.
I would like to go visit them if they will allow me to do so.
Absolutely. I think that if you speak with our let's see, what is his name there, Volmir, and ask you, absolutely, I would be glad to take you to see our people. And he will say, do you want me to just take you, or do you have an entourage you wish to take, or how do you wish to do this?
I was just thinking of just to visit myself, particularly. I don't see any reason to. Yeah, I have faith that your people can protect me.
Do you ride?
You have boars?
We have other mounts. I didn't know. We'll just walk. I think it's probably easier. And Volmir will come. He has a couple of the other elves come with. And there's a thing when it comes to picks you up to take you, like when it's very clear that the end of the day is coming, these two elves will sprint ahead, and like you'll walk for another half hour. By the time you catch up with what they have, they've cleared a space, they've set a fire, they've put tents up, like they are very clearly being very hospitable.
This is truly delightful. You didn't have to go to all the trouble. I could sleep like a rock.
And Volmir will say, if nothing else, and I mean this with all respect, my people know how to give honor to our elders.
Well, I will take that in the friendliest way possible, and I have to admit, evidence points to it being completely true.
And you will eventually arrive at a elven village, while the general look and such echoes what you saw there. It's much rougher. It's much more makeshift. They've used it like a big tree kind of as a center point, but it doesn't have the same magical effect. But they've been building here, and their population is about the size of yours. You're both tier 2, maybe a little bit smaller. And when you arrive, certainly there will be a bit where Unsoning will come out and will greet you, and will say,
I was very much wanting to see her.
Lady Grunheld,
Princess.
Simply Unsoning will do.
Unsoning. It is good to see you again.
If you had, I am sorry to have made you make this journey. I if you had known you wished to meet, I would have come to you.
I very much wanted to see the village. I haven't been here before, and while I did want to speak with you, you are the only one I'm hoping to have a moment with. But I was very interested that you were settling in well. When is the ceremony to be?
We are waiting until the time comes when we feel that the village has reached a point of strength.
Hmm.
Offerings parent had we're still laying the seeds and the roots for the village.
I understand. Those of us back at Garrick are also still much in the process of growth. It never feels like it's complete, but at the same time, you know when it is incomplete.
Very true. Very true. How is Neverburn?
I believe she is fitting in well.
Good.
We found a place for her, and we have opened our hearth in our home to her, and I believe that, well, I can't say for certain, that she is finding herself a place in it.
Excellent. And what is the name of the elf leader?
Ooh,
We
we've
know
never named one.
we haven't named them. You've met Unsoning and Offering. Those are the two princesses. And then we've established Volmir, who's been the representative, but we've never given a name to or a gender to our elvish leader. So what is a name for them? And I'm going to get everybody else to kind of pitch in on this.
Let's see, kind of looking over some of these names. I like Calvar.
Calvar. And Patrick, is Calvar male, female, NB, something else?
I like female. We've had a lot of neat elven women.
Okay. So Calvar is a woman. And what is striking and different about Calvar, Dagriel?
Um, I think the thing that's sort of striking about her is that she doesn't she's definitely elven, but she looks different than any of the ones that we saw. In that she has an almost willow cast to her. Like the bark is like willow, and her hair has this sort of branches and like silvery green, like it gathers together that way. It's and it's not like she looks old. It's that this looks new, like new growth. So it's sort of green gray, but very green. But there's no tree like that here or anything like that.
Excellent. And Tolan, what magic or magic item does Calvar have? Like either demonstrates or we can see the presence of it or we see the object?
She walks with a cane, and at first it just looks like a cane. So you notice all of the odd elven sigils carved into it, and if you knew how to read it, you would, realize that, like, this was also kind of a magic wand. I think she uses it like the needle that that Neverburn uses, but it's like, you know, it's a cane also.
Yeah. I think
Multi-purpose.
that in terms of the wood, it actually matches that hair and that coloration.
Yeah.
And you almost think that maybe this is like from a tree that was never planted. Like this is another one of those heavenly trees.
Yeah.
And she will come out to greet you, Grunheld. We are well met.
It is a great honor to meet you.
Come and sit with me here.
Of course, of course.
I wish to give my personal thanks for the work that you and your compatriots have done.
And it's only neighborly.
I have heard much of you, and so I would say that you have an agenda of friendship, but I am also certain that you have another agenda.
Well, in truth, they are intertwined. Like veins of metal are roots of a tree. Friendship is that structure that you build so many things on top of. I mentioned when your representative came to speak with me that this dragon in our neighborhood was a great threat to us all. We have sought wisdom from the Tengu. We have sought wisdom from the mountain itself. And our mountain has suggested that the way to fight a dragon is with a dragon. You've grown strangely silent.
Oh, that's what your mountain says.
Yes. And so that it is not for me to question the wisdom of the Cloud Island. But it is something of a suggestion I view with some trepidation. We are looking into ways to find a dragon, however. Would you have any wisdom on the subject?
If the elves are no friends to the dragons, there are two kinds of dragons. There are terrestrial dragons and there are heavenly dragons. Some would call them high and low. There are very few of the heavenly dragons left. There aren't very many of the terrestrial ones, as I understand it, either. But
We have heard of one that resides on the moon.
on the moon, you say?
So the Tengu say.
If they say I cannot vouchsafe them, I cannot contradict them on that. The only dragon I concretely know of is the one that lives into the glaciers to the south, and that
We've heard of that
is
one as well.
one of the heavenly dragons. The dragons were amongst the gauntlet that our ancestors and others overcame in reaching the heavens.
Mm.
So there are old animosities there.
All of the legends we dwarves have of dragons is that they come and take.
They are strangely material.
The Django think that there's one that can be dealt with, had dealings with the vermlings.
The Vermain?
Vermain.
We have not seen, from what I know, Vermain in these lands for hundreds of years.
It is the Tango's belief that they dealt with the dragon to leave these lands to the moon. I know. It seemed ridiculous when I heard it as well. And yet, my room speaker and one of my most pragmatic of fellow founders swear that they went to the moon with these Tango.
The I do not know. The only people I've heard of utilizing the dragons in any form have been the terrestrial dragons, and that is the Empire of Iron, using them as weapons of war. But I would would not wish to deal with them. I wish I had more information for you.
That is all right. We all will have to deal with this gnome summoned dragon.
Is that the favor you wish from us?
When the time comes, we will need you.
If that is the favor that you wish from us, then when you call, we will bear arms as we can and commit to the fight.
I thank you. And as I say, friendship is the foundation many things can be built on. Not just war, but the benefits of peace.
I want you to know what you're asking, though. My people have come here and have severed themselves. And when they die here, they will not come back. And they know that.
I understand. And
I know that it is a fact that you and your kind live with, but it is a new reality for us.
I will promise you, I will dedicate the lives of your people as dearly as my own.
Well, you
But
have
if
my
we
word.
do not destroy it, it will destroy us all.
I am aware. As I said, when you call, we will come.
I thank you. Would you, and I'll pull out a pipe. Do you happen to partake of the long weed?
I hadn't before, but we have been gifted it on several occasions from people, and I picked up an unfortunate habit.
Ah, well, let's speak of pleasant things.
Absolutely. And she will smoke the pipe weed with you. Let's take our first break here, and when we come back, we're going to come to Dawson, okay? And then we'll continue on, okay? So let's take 10 for the first break. So, Dawson, let's come to you.
I'd actually like to go talk to Grunheld.
Okay. So we'll assume this takes place. You've heard word that Grunheld went to see the elves outside, and has returned.
Elves.
Where do you do beard Grunheld in her den, or do you catch her somewhere else?
I'm curious, like, where do you do your official feigning?
Um, I have an office that we've seen like people come to before.
I think he'd come find you there.
Oh, all righty. Um, Dawson, please come in. Come in. Would you care for some tea?
Oh no, that sounds terrible.
Beer?
Oh yes, much better.
Of course, of course. I'll pull out 2 mugs and set them down.
The elves didn't try to poison you with too much leaf water, did they?
No, they were surprisingly hospitable. They made a lovely camp halfway through our journey. They were very kind, very nice.
Just wait. They'll show their true nature at some point.
Ah, you shouldn't you shouldn't have such prejudices against them. They, at least our neighbors, seem to be a decent enough lot for elves.
They're not as bad as those oak bastards, at least.
No, I'll agree with you there. But I can't imagine you just came for pleasantries.
Oh, are we done with that part now?
If you'd like to be, yes.
Oh, good. Thank you. What I really need to talk about is the underground waterways. This is a project I don't think we can really sit on for very long, and just think of the massive value that it could bring to the entire settlement. I mean, being able to reach vast, distant parts of the world without having to go out under the sky or contend with weather or butterflies,
Or pay tolls.
pay tolls.
Yes, I think that it is very interesting. When you first brought it up, I was quite intrigued. Have you learned more about it?
Things have been busy. I haven't had a chance to learn much more. But it does seem like it offers more than just an expansion of the map. It feels like something important that connects to deeper spirits in the earth.
That is certainly more in your purview than mine, but what can I do to help you achieve what you're looking for?
Well, I understand everybody is reasonably worried about dragons and other such things in the area, but I just wanted to make sure that the settlement remembered how important this project is and that the settlement would help support these sorts of efforts.
Yes, it doesn't really help us to be completely mono-focused on one thing. We already have Tolan spearheading it, thankfully. Seems to have really stepped into the role quite well. I heard that there was a symposium.
Yes, he's taking his job as being in charge of the dragon very seriously.
Good. So you are hoping to take a little time to study these waterways more?
Well, yes, and was perhaps looking for support. I don't know what full expedition into them would entail, but we should at least get started, figure out what we're in for with it.
Yes. I think I can agree with that. That is important. We can't lose sight of the immediacy of the dragon, and you will be very much needed in that effort. But that does not mean we can't look beyond in a more positive direction while we deal with something very negative.
Yes. Well, yes. That's exactly the sort of thing I wanted you to say.
Well, I'm glad that I haven't displeased you. So, perhaps later on, in a few months, we can try to put together something that, if you have a proposal to look into these waterways, then perhaps we can do that. And then, once we've done that, you and Doland, and I can't imagine you could keep Dagriel away from it this time, will take the Tengu up on their offer to find a dragon.
One horrible way or another.
Good. It is important. You are going to be integral to defeating this dragon.
After, of course, Toland, who is leading the effort and being in charge of the Dragon Project.
We will all have our part to play, I'm sure.
Well, you seem busy.
Well, I'm glad that you came by.
As he's like standing up and turning to go, he'll turn back and look very worried, concerned. Doesn't quite know how to say as he's staring at the mug of tea in front of you. Fishbane hasn't been getting in the way of the supplies, right? You people have been delivering enough beer for you.
I assure you, I keep a solid stockpile.
Okay, it's a shame to see you reduced to such things.
Tea in the morning, beer at night.
If you say so.
And, Dawson, come and visit more often.
All right.
Let's come back around. And Dagriel, I want to give you a chance to call a scene with another founder because you didn't do that on your first go round.
Yeah. I think probably Talon.
Okay.
And essentially, there's so many things. But I do think that I've kind of gotten word of the Great Dragon meetup. And I'm like, so how did the conversation go?
Well,
Let me take a
I won't say
stab
everyone
at it.
agreed, but everyone, nobody had a better idea than finding a dragon to fight the dragon.
The definitive mountain answer.
Yes.
That we are certain is literal, like Dawson, as opposed to figurative, like sometimes prophecy is.
It seemed literal, and I would hope that the dragon wouldn't deliberately mislead us.
No, I don't think so.
So we know. I wanted to ask you if we have any information on the rat folk. They
The Vermain?
Yes, they have a dragon. Well, they don't own the dragon, but they work with the dragon. They have an alliance with a dragon on the moon.
Ah,
We can get to the moon.
is this the moon where the moon milk came from?
Yes, same moon. Yes.
Alright, so those Vermain got themselves a pretty good deal, pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So there's the possibility of somehow convincing them to convince the dragon to help us. Apparently, there's also a dragon far to the south, and there may possibly be one. And was it the Mist Valleys?
Hold
Uh,
on here. Let me go and get my books.
that
And
what's his
I'll-
name? Brown Thorn Thistle would know about.
Oh, Brownthorn.
if-
Yeah.
If
We
it's
could go look
if one
into
exists, and also Dawson thinks it may be possible to make one out of lava.
Yeah, we're
So
not gonna
those
do
are our
that.
options.
We're not going to do that. Okay. So, so a moon dragon, or the glacier dragon you're talking about, right? The
Moon Dragon, Glacier Dragon, possible other
Mist
dragon
Valley
that may or
dragon.
may not exist.
what? Well, we went to Mist Valley and there were those big lizards, right? But they weren't dragons
Right.
per se. But they could have. But they kind of were dragon-like, so they might be. Yeah. Okay. Well, these are all very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I certainly would like to go to the moon. The Vermain, not my favorite, but I do actually have a great deal of lore about it. We managed to make off with one of the tales of the excoriations of the Vermain from the Third Age. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff, including some rather appalling pictures of dissections. So if we need to know about their physicality,
Probably
we've
shouldn't
got
take that with us.
No, we won't take it with us. But whoever did it was exacting with their detail. Yeah, Stub
I
Nightmares.
don't think we need to
is
know so much about their anatomy as about like what they might want to.
Well,
how
let's
to-
think about it this way. They've got a lot of milk and cheese, so what goes well with that? Crackers. Oh, sorry, that was funny. I shouldn't do that. But yes, that's a good idea. We'll look into, if you lived on the moon, what would you be wishing someone would bring you and maybe make available on an ongoing basis? Okay. I can ask Brownthorn when he comes through. I've gone on a few little jaunts with him. Happily go on a few more. It's always fun. Sees things a completely different way. For one thing, because he's much taller than me. But other than that, he just has done a lot of stuff that never would have occurred to me. Pretty cool. And I guess I was curious about what the others came up with, like Never Vern and some of the other mages. Did they have anything, or did
There
they
was
just
mention of chains. I assume they would have to be some sort of magical chains. There was also the idea that maybe if we just killed all the gnomes, but the problem is we don't actually, aside from that might be difficult, we don't actually know what the dragon would do if the gnomes weren't controlling it. So
Exactly. But we do have information about a contact in among the gnomes that we might be able to depend on for some intel. So how about if I and my people look into that? I say that, but it's me and then whoever's willing to go along with me. So it's sort of a grab bag.
they would know probably a lot more than we're just taking stabs in the dark here.
Exactly, a lot of dragony stabs. So gonna look for some alternatives and maybe just kind of suss out what the real situation is. It would be easier too if, in knowing what it was that the gnomes wanted, we could, how do you say, make sure that none of that comes about in whatever struggle goes on. I don't want them to win
Yes.
any territory, or yes, not too many dead bodies and not too much pollution and undeath. Okay, I am willing to consult. I will bring you my notes, but that is my thing. I will check in with Brownthorn. I will see what I can find out from all these other sources, okay? I might go talk to Neverburn. They know a lot of things about things you wouldn't think about, like slow poisons and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if the elves in the 8,000 elves have ever had to deal with dragons, but she does know a lot.
They fought dragons. That's part
They
of the
did?
Gods' War. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, we should definitely
Not
be
saying that
talking-
Neverburn was there, but probably knows the stories. And so, do you want to read about the Gods' Wars? I mean, what we've got.
not much.
Ah, but I got some stuff while I was in the Elven King. And we have some of the old stuff. So I'll bring the tomes for you.
Okay, guys. What language is this in?
Dwarven. With good
Very
illustrated plates
old
that
Dwarven.
might.
All right.
Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah, so I like sit down and start going through it.
Okay. So I'll bring up the 3 volumes that we have of different desperate God's Word stories. They're very much like the Greek myth books, you know, where they're just a set of randomly sequenced stories of different
Right.
things that happened. And they're all at that kind of high symbolic level rather than any nitty gritty details. But the pictures are cool. So there you go. All right. Thank you. I'm off. And I leave whistling.
Right.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of the Dolores book of Greek myths. I don't know if you guys grew up with those. They had the illustrated books for Greek and Norse myths that like were everything when I was a kid. So Tolan, what would you like to do on this second interaction? You did interact with other PCs. Do you want to do another scene of that, or do you want to NPCs, or do you want to do something else?
I mean, I think what I do is actually I study this material and try to see what I can learn about yeah, the God Wars.
All right. Let's have you make a study roll here.
I can find anything remotely relevant. Also, new rabbit hole. So
Fair enough, exactly.
excuse me, Doug, I need to use keyboard.
No, says the cat.
It's like I'm your supplier, Tolan, when you need a new rabbit hole.
I know, right? Let's see here. Oh, I have a whole die in this. I don't have to roll 2 and take the lowest. That is 5.
The 5. So what is it you're looking for? Like, what is it you want to find?
I think I just want to know like how dragons work. If that makes sense. Anything I can find about dragons.
So I think what you'll find is that the heavenly dragons were kind of like their own pantheon. They all had a portfolio and a role and things like that. And they were like their own sort of set of gods and things for a whole host of magical creatures, including the terrestrial dragons and other things. And they kind of got many of them destroyed as a part of collateral damage in what went on in essentially. And again, this is a millennium ago, but effectively these magical people started to figure out how gods worked and started to build their own gods, and then started to make machines to do god stuff. And then eventually we're like, well, we need more like god material. And that's how that war got essentially started. Some of the heavenly dragons survived, but there are a few of them. The dragon, that's the glacial dragon down at the south, he's actually there to stop the ice age from coming. Like that's what it does, is it keeps the world from freezing. And there are other out there dragons. It is said that the dragons avoid the Empire of the Hours because the Empire of the Hours killed all their gods and made them into tools. It said that the dragons avoid the Empire of Ghosts because they do the same thing, but in a very different way. And there are a few that are kind of still around, like the lunar dragon. But there are more of the like terrestrial dragons, though they have been hunted quite a bit. They're the more classic winged dragons and things like that. And this dragon that is the undead dragon is as a terrestrial dragon, just a very old and smart one that died and got brought back. So it's not massively, godlike powerful. Tell me one other detail that you find out that you're like, ooh, that's interesting, or that's a hook. You can give me whatever you want.
In spite of stories that dragons like to hole up in dens, and they do to some extent, they need sunlight. They're not like photosynthetic, like they do have to eat, but they need sunlight to, for some biological process.
Okay. Absolutely. The terrestrial dragons, like that's a common thing. That's why anything that people refer to as like cave drakes or anything like that, those aren't real dragons. Those are just like below surface worms and things like that. So all dragons, I mean, it's what makes this sort of undead dragon exceptional, is because it's undead, it doesn't have to,
right?
But other ones do. Okay, I like that. Does that seem like fair enough information?
Yeah.
Okay. Grunheld, let's come back to you.
All righty. Well, let's find a cool NPC and have a little talk. I think I would like to talk with. I'm trying to find him. Where's he at? There it is. An accent.
Okay.
I imagine that he's probably at the academy, so I'll go and find him there.
Right, hang on 1 second here. Just need to track down people's pictures here. Oh,
my centaur friend.
Okay, Inoxen. Okay, absolutely. Yeah, so he is is there. He is relieved. The scholars have built some rolling ladders for that, and so they haven't had to call him up as much to go and get things off of the high shelves. And yeah, you can see that he is settled here. He will greet you, Grunheld.
It's good to see you, old friend.
It is good to see you.
You're settling in well.
It's been a few years. There does come a time when, as a centaur, while I enjoy it here in your stead, I am not a dwarf. And
I was worried that perhaps being underground as much as you are would not please you.
No. It is not that. It is that I am not a dwarf. You are a lot of dwarves here. You have many outsiders, but it is dwarves that I see in and out each day. And there's no offense meant on that, but
none taken.
There is a bit where I desire the company of my own folk. But more than that, we centaurs wander, we centaurs travel. And not today, but someday soon I will need to go.
I understand that. And in part, you heard that last year, probably maybe even 2 years ago now, we had a diplomatic meeting with your former people. And,
yes, came to an agreement there.
Well, we're paying a toll so that they don't kick us off a road. I suppose that's an agreement.
That's how empires work.
Yes. And I sent word that they're aware that you are not deceased.
It is a bird that has to come to home to roost eventually.
I don't know how easy it would be for you to avoid notice in travels, but we do have someone who travels a bit, and maybe you could spend a little time with him. Our Minotaur friend is constantly on the road. It's Zano. Is there perhaps a little that he could do to help you in your wanderlust?
That is a very interesting idea. I hadn't considered that. Certainly, I've spoken to him on a number of occasions, and he travels as a merchant. So, and I doubt that anyone would try to put the screws to me should I be accompanied by Minotaur.
It would certainly give you some cover, and I worry about your safety, old friend. I hate to think that we put ourselves through risk to rescue you just so that you could be captured again.
I have had to not worry about that for going on 6-7 years, thanks to you. I have been here for longer than I think you probably recollect.
You seem almost part of the place now. I'm happy to have you here.
I will think about it. I'll speak about that with Cesano. Maybe maybe we can talk about something for next spring. At
And
the
it
very
mean that I will
least,
still
yeah.
see you.
yes, at the very least, maybe it would take care of some of my wanderlust if I went out when the weather was good and come back when it is less good.
The point is that my dear friend is still around for me to see. I find that I enjoy having old friends about me. I came here with such high hopes. And the struggle has been good for me. I was practically becoming a boulder back at home. But
Then
still,
may I
haven't
ask
seen the
you,
kids in 10 years.
and that is the question that I was going to put to you, Grunheld. You have not spoken to them. You have not seen them. You have not invited them here. I thought for sure at least one of these things. Do not let me be a substitute. Do not let the others be a substitute for you maintaining those lines of your family.
You would have thought they would have dropped a letter by now, wouldn't you? 10 years. But
Did they?
A mother absent.
And here is the thing. You went on a marvelous adventure. You've done great things here. But you left them. And while that is not how it is, it may be how they feel it, even if they would never admit it because they're stubborn like someone.
Their father.
Please, your deflection is proficient like a fine parry from a blade.
You know me too well, you old goat.
Reach out to at least one of them.
I will.
Good, good.
And go and see some sunlight.
I will do that. Though I burn so easily with my fair skin.
Practically a milkmaid you are.
I am.
And I'll sit and gossip with him for a while.
Excellent. And Dawson, what would you like for your second go round here?
I think I'd like to have a meeting with my guild, the Moray Assembly, and talk about what it would take to do a full-on, fully funded by the state and Grunheld and all of the weight that the Thane can put behind an expedition to the waterways.
You mean to find the waterways?
Well, we found water.
But as I understand it, the waterways were something different.
But they've got to be connected, right?
Is that how water works? There's a lot of like, and they look to you.
Well, it flows to other water.
And Emberstone will say, but as I understand it, there's a difference. Like these things are not water like you drink.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen any of it yet. There's talk of a strange well and connecting lines.
All right. Well, maybe, says Emberstone, given that we're a scouting guild, You should send some of us to go and scout and see if we can find one of these spots. I will gladly take charge of such an expedition if you wish me to, my lord.
And I think his immediate reaction is to, no, that's the worst idea. Leave the mountain, you say?
I don't believe I said leave the mountain. I believe I said go down deep
Go
into the
scouting.
bowels. Yes.
It's leave the settlement, you say?
That I did say.
For an extended period.
Absolutely, to discover these ways and means and powers.
Well, to track down a point on the map, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here.
I'm sure that's all that will happen.
This is something that is very important to the future of the mountain.
Absolutely. The person who brings this to fruition will certainly be feted.
Yes. Dreams of whatever fets are in his house.
He said, by your command.
Just put together a proposal for what the expedition would need to look like, and there shouldn't be any problems. Then we'll find the waterways, then we'll map the waterways, and we'll find the well.
As you say, Dazin Runja, as you say. And he will bow. And I think that Aurelia goes, you can't stop from rising to his bait, can you?
But I was perfectly in control of that.
Every single moment was you were reacting. You've got to, when he does those things, just shut it down. Let him go. Don't give him fuel. Don't give him a direction to go in.
You say that, but I still think there's something wrong with your ears. You can't hear that pitch in his voice.
Oh, I can hear the pitch in his voice. I don't think you can.
But I have highly attuned hearing, and it's just
If by highly attuned you mean selective, then yes, Dawson Runejaw, you have highly tuned hearing.
Thank you.
Well, it will get done one way or the other, won't it?
We need to find it.
Okay. I am glad you seem to have been polishing your scouting skills.
Yes, I've bought boots now.
Yes. You're less of an embarrassment than you were at the start.
I have greatly improved.
Absolutely.
It's good of you to notice.
Absolutely. Well, I'll take my leave then.
Yes, well, this was a very successful meeting. I'm glad I planned all this.
Absolutely. I'm going to say something else, and then I'm sure you wish to have the final word.
Well, I don't necessarily need to have the final word.
And she points at you and like walks away, not saying anything else.
Very strange way to leave.
So let's bring the founders together in the conference to talk about this year. I would like to go around and let's come up with what this competition looks like, what this event looks like. what we want to do with it. It's not necessarily a expedition unless you want to use it for some purpose, like to do something. But it's something we can work on. So, what is the sort of history or event or significant thing of this Dagrio? Like we know the Olympics celebrate this, or yearly holidays, or something like that. Like what is the reason why this is the year? What is that? What is that for?
Yeah, this is our 10th celebration. So I
Okay.
think that 10th year celebration. So I think that really, in a lot of ways, these are traditionally a celebration of the home, like of our mountain and our place in it. So I think that that's what the competitions tend to be about. Is about there's things like races through the mountain, how well you know them, uh, uh, carving, new carvings,
But
but also
it's this
poetry
is
and stuff like that, right?
what is there something in dwarven history that makes that 10th year significant, or is it just like considered a milestone, or is there some like historical event? I want to get a little bit
Oh,
of
I see.
context.
I see. Like why this 10th year matters. Um, I think that that is an old tradition from the way that the numbering works. Is that when you number things, when you hit a 10th thing, the whole thing is that you do a box around it as a significant thing. So every 10th is boxed, and it's just this whole idea of that's when you stop and review what has gone before. Does that make any sense? It's
Oh,
just sort of a
absolutely. Like
traditional that
it's
yeah.
something in the way that the numbers work, that shape, like maybe a 10 is a 0 with a box around it rather than a 1 in front of it,
Yeah, exactly. It's got the one in front of it that it's 1 10s and
Yeah.
then 2 10, and it can get, and then you might have tens inside tens. And so they're boxes inside boxes. So
Okay. So I like that. So, Tolan, uh, what is, for Tolan's mind, the most important kind of part of this competition? An event, or a happening, or a contest? Like what do you see as the most important thing?
So I think it's generally like a chance for everyone to show off like products of the mountain. And then that's not necessarily iron and gems. That could be stories. That could be it's like this is what this mountain has given us.
So this is a big 4-H fair in at least part.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And there are competitions that come with it for sure, but I think the competition that Tolan is excited about is the part where you climb up the mountain, because, well, most of the dwarves are not super into that, and he is, so like he kind of has an advantage. Although Fishbane is going to win that competition probably. Not being a dwarf helps.
All right. So we've got a lot of that sort of products and judging, and maybe even guest judges, and timed competitions for performing tasks, and I like that. Grunheld, you are the Thane. What are you doing to make this competition, this 10-year contest, unique for Carrick Minor?
First off, I think, there's the element of, we have these competitions and, there will be prizes for those that win. So there are the specialty, the special moments of someone who gets their prize. But I think that the big significance, the big making it special is that for this first 10 year, those that win the competitions from the best in show pie making all the way to the feats of strength, they're all going to have their names carved at the great arch of the entry.
All right. Is there any event that you come up with that is unique for there that hasn't been done in the settlement that you guys came from?
Ooh. Yes. What is unique to us that we've discovered thus far? Seems sort of grim to go and have a killing squirrel monkeys contest. Whacking day doesn't seem like a good idea.
You've got those remnants. You've got the
Yeah.
gems. You've got the lava caverns. Those are some interesting things.
Ooh, yes. And we have a whole thing with our, the sort of glowy gems that we have here, and our new temple and all that. Okay, I think our big test, our big thing that I've come up with is that is a sort of race with tons of danger. I like a good dangerous race where they take a massive a stone container, and they are to bring lava from the lava pool back to the temple, and we'll create a mold from the lava at the temple. So those that bring it will all pour their lava in, and when it solidifies into the mold, that will be the great edifice of our 10 year. That'll be there in the temple. And whoever gets there first with it will get to have their name put on it in let's see, get to have their name emblazoned on it with our silver and gems.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that very much. And Dawson, what special role do the rune sages have in this 10-year celebration?
I sort of like the idea that the various rune crystals and sort of crystal work we have going on around the place begin echoing and playing out bits and pieces of the settlement's history and voices from Stonelight that we came from, and pieces and things that have gone by, and that throughout this whole competition and festival sort of time, that there are new crystals being made to specifically capture this whole environment to play back later.
Nice. So essentially we're TiVoing the whole thing. I like it. Let's take our second break. we'll come back and we'll talk about how we want to manage this, whether we want to do it as an expedition with potential benefits or whether we just want to like describe it. So we'll talk about that. So if you do this as an expedition, then there will be rewards. And you get to do cool stuff. Or we could just kind of hand wave it as a montaged event. So let's see what folks think. Sherry?
I think it's an interesting sort of expedition. It really is an expedition about us. So that's kind of cool.
Okay.
I would be interested in that.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting expedition. Never mind, I have no idea what I was about to say next.
Okay. No, I believe me, I know that feeling. Tyler?
I want to ask something first. For our timeline, Dragon timeline, this would be second year where we got the vague idea to be 3 before we
3 before, so you still got next year.
Still got next year. Okay, cool. If that is correct. It doesn't alter what I'm gonna say. I do think it should be
unless I roll an entanglement thing that suggests strongly that the dragon wakes early.
Right. I still think I think it should be an expedition, but it feels like one we might get out of fairly gently and then have a chance for a second. So
okay. We'll see how rolls go. Are you cool with doing it as an expedition, Dawson?
Yeah. I will say though, I have 6 stress, so it's very unlikely I could do a second expedition.
So, let us start with a journey roll to kind of represent preparations and work and all of that kind of thing. And we can do this as a group action.
I'm clear because I took all day weariness if you'd like for me to lead.
Okay. So let's have you lead. And so let's have you do that roll first, Grunheld.
All right. And so we'll roll with Journey. And I have 1, which I got a 5.
Got a 5. And then Dawson, you have Journey now.
I do. I'm an expert in it.
Absolutely. Well, you have 2 dice in it, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
So yeah, actually you are an expert. You're very good at it.
That's 6.
6, pulling it right out. Dagriel?
Oh, a 3, sorry.
So Grunheld, you'll mark 1 stress. And then Tolan? Oh, you'll mark another stress, Grunheld. But you do get to mark XP for leading this. And I think this is a montage of preparations and going places and coming back and getting those things set up. And as you all have described it, people, getting set for these domestic things. So what I want to do is I want to go around and I want each of you to tell me what you compete in. And we're going to make a roll for it. And I want you to tell me about what this event looks like. Are there outside judges? Are there real competitors? Like what is going on? So Dagriel, you've been waiting months for this. What is the thing that and you obviously be doing other competitions, but for this, what is it that came out to petition that you want to win?
I think this comes down to jeez. think that it is a sort of debate about the nature of Carrick Minor or Carrick Major, Carrick Minor. Essentially, and I wanna put forward my theory of what the age of the summit is, this nature of falling down and sliding, and how it is that essentially we will proceed to discover the other aspects from this wisdom from the summit. So
Absolutely. This could either be study or convince. Both of them are 3 for you.
I know, and I think that this is a convince.
Okay.
Well, except that of course if I do study.
So who judges this? Like, this is a debate. Is it a voting of scholars? Is it somebody else? Like, what does that look
Oh,
like?
this is essentially the scholars and the poets duking it out for these prizes is mostly what's going on.
But
Yeah,
but
so
who's
but
judging?
who's judging? Oh, you know what? I think that we have gone and gotten a set of guest judges, like from among the Alita, like the people who don't have any of this tradition. We've gotten, I
Let us say that.
Nina wanted to do it, but we're
Okay.
like, no, too close. You're gonna have to compete, hon. So there's
So
yeah.
let's
But-
say it's one of the Knolls
Oh yeah, I
who's
love that.
judging the debate.
Yes.
Because they have a pretty good sense of humor and they enjoy these kinds of conversations.
Exactly.
All right. So let's have you roll,
Okay.
Dagriel.
All right. So let's see here. Can't take in my possession. Okay. Yeah, so gonna roll, I think. Let's see here. Here's the thing is I have this thing I never use that I can borrow aid from the fortress stoves for ancient and forgotten things or lost artifacts of limited use. And I think
Okay.
that this is one of the things is that I have found something and I realized that its significance was to the last, to the age of the summit, to that. And essentially I bring this forward and it is, so I have this prop, so to
Absolutely.
speak, of a sort of an ancient carved, looks like part of a facade.
Sure.
Okay.
Doesn't cost you stress to do that. And normally it would give you an additional result level, but I want to do this with just an extra die.
Oh, okay, sure. That sounds
So
great.
4 dice.
4 dice. Yeah, well, it's me rolling, so
You're gonna need
that
all of
means
them.
nothing. Right, yeah, I need all of them. So, okay, 46. Let's see. I am filled with hope, and yet. Oh, 4 sixes.
Wow.
Unprecedented. Huh.
I think that you will reveal deep secrets and at the end everyone is breathtaking. And I think that for this year and the next 2 years, you may choose one of the settlement special abilities that you have not chosen previously from any one of the types that you will have use of for those years.
Okay, how many years? 2.
This year and the 2 following.
Okay.
You're 11 and 12. And so you can look through, and of course, some of them won't be applicable, like getting an extra dot. But the other ones you can like find one that you like from amongst those and decide because that's 4 sixes.
That's crazy. I worked so hard on it. And
I think the goal at the end is like I think we all know who won the debate, and everyone nods. Oh, yep, okay. And then of course cheering among the scholars. In your face, poets!
If only they fought.
Tolan, what is the 4 6s? 4 6, let me look at that. 4 6s. None of you are rolling 6s. Sherry has used all of the 6s. Just want to tell you that now. Put the blame on her. So, Tolan, what event are you participating in?
Uh, oh, I am definitely in Grunhow's lava collection event.
Absolutely. So, what does that feel like for your roll? Like, what are you going to roll that with?
That is a very good question. Let's see. Is this okay? It is not. Uh,
Journey could
it's
work.
not dig. It's journey.
Dig,
It's not
journey,
skirmish.
craft.
Hands-on ingenuity
Stone
and
speak.
dexterity. You know, I kind of like Stone Speak.
Okay.
I think like I'm, I go into it all, like, oh, I can totally do this. I don't, like just confident that I can physically do it. And then it kind of sinks in that, oh, lava really, really hot. Maybe this was a bad idea. So I think I use Stone Speak to kind of make that a little bit less
Are you spending any
threatening.
supply?
That's a good question. What have I got?
Should be clean up.
Oh, well, you know what? I have this mushroom ale that gives me +1D to Stone Speak.
There you go. Good, 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 good.
Yep.
Let's have you
Not
roll.
usually something you want to do is like drink a bunch of beer before you do this.
Well, you are dwarves.
It's
So
special beer.
let's have you roll with 3 dice.
No 6s, but I did get 5.
Get a 5. So I think that you're not doing as well as you want. You kind of push yourself. You're not going to take this victory here. And do you want to resist that? Do you want to snatch that victory into your hands?
No, I think it's appropriate that like went into this with a little too much hubris and a little too little caution.
Yeah, I think there is that bit where you've like, oh, I've got it. And then what is it that happens that kind of like undercuts your victory? That just goes slightly wrong.
The chain that I'm using to hold like the container that I'm collecting lava in, the container is, I mean, it's heat resistant enough to get the lava that, to the short distance. The chain is not. So it ends up like melting on one side, spilling out, and I have to go back and like carefully balance it. And yeah, it's
There's a lot of careful balance. There's a lot of cleaning up of lava spilt.
Yeah.
The new phrase, don't cry over spilt lava, emerges. Yeah. You don't quite win, but everyone is, I mean, this is the most dangerous unique event. Grunheld, what is it that you want to do for a competition here?
I've been, sort of going around and being more host and everything, and people not really expecting me to compete. But as we get to the martial things, we have the axe throw. And Grunheld, sort of moves over and, with her staff and kind of, oh, well, I suppose I could take a turn.
Perfect. So this feels like skirmish.
I'm going to cheat.
Are you going to cheat? Are you going to push yourself?
I am. Well,
Taking
I'm going to, yes, I'm going to injure myself.
okay. So take one harm. What does that look like when you do it?
I sort of get up there and take the heavy axe, and I'll even give a little bit of the, oh, so very heavy. And then there'll be the pulling it up on the strap, giving the twirl around my head, and
Absolutely. Slice, target splinters from it. It goes through that into the reserve target behind it and hits that bullseye. And people go absolutely ape shit. I mean,
I
just off. And what is the injury we see? Like what happens in the middle of this?
completely hide the fact is I go, oh yes, oh, and I let people and I kind of move around very straight, and
They go to
oh,
lift you up on their shoulders, you know.
no, that's all right, no, it's fine, and I'll sort of take the accolades as I move back to my home, and my back is so completely out of whack. Like, oh my god, and I'll kind of lean back up against but I am going to use something we've never used before because I've been wanting to. I'm going to spend a supply and eat my bread so that I can heal myself.
That seems perfect. I imagine you're laid up for a little while, but you get down that bread to get your back mended. And Dawson, what is the competition that you are participating in?
So I think this is a sport from Dawson's youth and from the old mountain that we've sort of adapted here to Carrick Minor, and it takes some getting used to because we don't have battle iguanas here. But riding mole polo is what he comes out fully kitted out for in like colors and a helmet, and just like he has custom made all this gear for whatever you need for riding mole polo.
I imagine that, of course, it only makes sense that Emberstone has his own little kit, his own little entourage there. You know, he's gone the extra mile, and he's got like a little club theme song that they all come out to with musicians and everything, and get on these riding moles.
Yeah, well, I don't need to go to all that sort of fanfare, and I think it's, if you ask me, it's rather tacky to paint a riding mole like that. But
Let's
true skill on the field is what will show.
what is it that you roll for that?
I have been trying to figure that out this whole time because I became obsessed with the idea far over any like skill that I have. But it is a riding beast, and I just took up my journey, so maybe there's some like animal control in that.
I love it. I love it. Are you spending supply?
I am gonna spend some supply, as a few more loyal guild members are on my team. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So we are talking 3 dice.
Oh no. Oh no.
I think
Oh, no.
that not only do you lose, that there is a stray mole ball that flies up and hits you right in the schnoz, right in the face, and will injure you as it breaks your nose.
Oh.
Which of those do you wish to resist? None? One? What do you think? Now, keep in mind that your companions could resist one of those consequences for you.
I really
I can resist the
suppose
consequence.
should resist the injury, but I would rather resist the loss.
Tolan, which one do you want to resist?
I'll resist whichever one is not. So
Okay.
I've got some free stress.
Okay, so Dazin will first resist Tolan resisting the injury for you. So this feels like prowess to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Look at you.
6.
So
No
what do
stress
you
at
do?
all.
Like how you see that? And they're like big wooden balls. They're like big wooden cricket balls.
I think I'm like walking, by, feeling kind of embarrassed about the whole melting chain thing,
Yeah.
and see this ball just coming flying at me, and grab it, and
Kinda-
like, hey, I did one thing right, cool. What?
And you
what-
hear foul, foul, outside interference. And you realize that you've stepped out onto the pitch, like you've wandered out there and caught the ball, and everyone is staring at you. But the mushrooms mean that you don't care at all. You just hand it to someone and wander off. Dazin, your team is losing. Do you want to resist the loss?
Yes, obviously. Yes, so much.
Resolve. Too
That's a
stressed.
4. Oh, worth it.
What is the clutch play, Dazin, that you make?
Well, since this is the newly christened sport of mole polo, Dawson introduces Molo. Dawson introduces the genius new play of having Raylela and a couple of the others distract the other team while his riding mole quickly digs a hole under the field and up into the other goal.
Perfect. There's protests from the other side. But I think the Knoll is like, no, I'm calling that fair. Absolutely. I think that a number of Knolls have just been enjoying themselves being judges and referees throughout this whole thing. But yeah, what does the trophy look like?
It is just the most like joyous and triumphant looking mole bursting out of the ground in a like spray of triumph.
I like that very much. And everyone will enjoy themselves on this. I think that you're going to get a reputation. I think you're going to get a treasure for the commerce of people coming to see the contest. And I think that this is one of those things that like helps bring significant harmony. And I'm going to take the mountain entanglement track down by 1 tick and the outsider entanglement down by 3 ticks.
Nice.
I think that like having people here work with them, seeing it like that builds that sense of camaraderie. I think the elves actually come. I think the Tengu come. I think there are some imperial representatives, including your friend Karoka, who is standing by the sidelines cheering as you take that victory, Dawson. And I even think the wizards send some people, and it is a brilliant thing that will fill the whole community with a sense of pride for a bit. But what is the sign, the first omen later as it comes towards fall that you have of the troll march and the cursed moon? Dagriel, what is the first sign?
I think the first sign is when the cursed moon comes out from behind the cloud thing. Essentially, it darkens all of the foliage. Like, it's fall foliage, it's going to be red and yellow and all the bright colors. Oh no, it's black. Like, it's sort of like wherever things are exposed to that moonlight, it blackens the edges, and for the things that get like sort of the higher up things, very black.
Toland, the cursed moon, does it appear like an omen? Is it behind the other moon? Does it come up from around the horizon, once in a blue moon? Like what is it with this cursed moon, and what does it look like when it does this radiance?
It's a smaller moon that's normally hidden behind the regular moon. And it has a weird green tint, like nothing else in the sky.
Absolutely. So the moon of ill tidings, the chaos moon, that moon is there and beaming down, and Grunheld, what is the vision or omen or sighting that tells you that a troll march is coming?
Thinking. I think deep down in the bones of the mountain, the real rock of the mountain, it knows when these marches come. It can hear, it can feel the thrum of the feet as they slap down. And it's not like an earthquake. It's instead that the stones rub just a little, so that across all of the mountain, there's a sound like a growl that permeates the caverns.
And they march along the mountain line, sometimes, sleeping in the stone, sometimes moving through it, but they are coming this way along that. Dazin, what does a troll look like? Tall, small, squat, humanoid, armored, unarmored, naked, scaly, purple, green, yellow? What do we see on screen? Or are they multitudinous and varied in their form?
I do think they're large, like unreasonably large, sort of. I think they look like a cooled, dried in mid movement magma flow.
Ooh,
Like just sort of like drippy melting rock sort of feel, and they have a sparking fiery blood that comes out when they're injured.
absolutely. I think that there will be some people who look at the Lita and maybe see some like echoes there, that they maybe you get some murmurings on that. But that is what is coming, and that is what we will talk about next time. Sound good? Okay. So I would like to do a quick stars and wishes to talk about things we liked and things we want to see. Same order as we had. Dacryl, I'm going to start with you.
I liked 4 6s. I really liked it. It was awesome. Unprecedented in all of my rolling history of D6s. It came at a lovely time for my ego. I am sure that Dagger will be a much better person from here on out. What would I like to see? We get trolls and then an undead dragon. This is going to
We
be
got trolls, a
Yeah.
year, and then the dragon.
Okay. So we got trolls and then a dragon, undead dragon. So it's gonna be kind of we're gonna have to pull a lot of stops out. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we have.
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna have stuff.
I will share with you the document so you can take a look at the different founders or the different institutional things, and you can choose one of those
Yes,
for
that
the
will
group.
help us. That
What
sounds great.
there are stone tablets that give secrets of foes that might be
Ooh, yes, that would
one
be awesome.
to choose.
There's riding beasts.
Yes, there are that.
But we have riding beasts with our moles, don't we?
But we don't.
You don't. You have a few moles. You don't have a stables and a set of them.
But we would just have the riding beast for that one time then, right?
You would
Or
have for a
would we
couple
have
of
to-
years,
Okay. All right.
unless you decided to like invest when you go up again. It's up to you.
Exactly.
Tolan, what about you?
I mean, stars to everybody's. I like how this was a lot of collaborative, like, oh, this is what dwarf life is like. And I really liked how everybody contributed these, really unexpected but appropriate ideas. Like, oh, it's a lava gathering competition, of course, Like, yes, that absolutely is what would happen in a dwarf mine with lava in it. Yep. So I just liked everybody's very original but still very fitting ideas.
Anything wishes wise?
Pretty much what Cherry said. Looking forward to seeing these trolls and dealing with this dragon.
Trolls and dragon. Grunheld.
This was a ton of fun. I really liked our opening rounds. I thought everybody had neat moments in there. I liked Dozen with his rival. I thought that was fun. I liked our interaction. I really enjoyed talking with the centaur. That ended up being a pretty emotional moment, and I thought that was really, really cool. Tolan and Dagriel, always amazing to see together chatting. But individually, y'all had beautiful scenes too that I thought were really fun and neat. It was real. Those two, as a lead off, were very nice. I thought that was it really all paid off. And then the competition was phenomenal. I mean, it was so fun. Everybody brought in cool things. Everything that we brought in, you incorporated in such a cool way. If I had to highlight, other than 4 4s, 4 6s on 4 dice, that was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Unprecedented.
Unprecedented. If I had to highlight anything, I gotta say, it's Bolo. I am all about Bolo. That's hilarious. As for me, wishes, I think the trolls could be very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. This dragon is going to be a huge thing. I also am looking forward to, but I kind of do think that getting some look into that well, into those waterways, is a good future, like setting us up on a good spot. We're dealing with dangers, but that's like a legacy, and I think that's pretty cool. So I don't want it to be forgotten. I do
Sure.
think it's a neat thing.
Sure. One of the things I definitely want to do once we kind of get that in play is maybe come up with some building structures that are appropriate to that, so that we can build something concrete with that.
I'll give my wish. I want the trolls to be more complicated than just a fight. How about that as a wish?
Trolls to be more complicated.
That that there's a purpose to these marches or something. That it might not just be the shield wall against them. There, and that's me. Thank you.
Okay. Dawson.
This was very fun. I liked all the various interaction scenes. I especially liked Tolan calling together the Council of Weirdo Mages, because it's always been interesting to contrast like Dawson and Tolan and how they approach, but we have picked up this ever-growing pack of very idiosyncratic mages, and hearing even just from some of them is very cool. And I mean, rat people with their friend dragon on the Milk Moon is just okay, that's where we ended up. That's what happens when you call all these idiots into the same room. And at least one of them appreciated my lava dragon. And building the festival was super cool. I love that it grew from, not just figuring out what is the dwarven Calvin ball, but to this whole like long sort of festivities and all these different areas and all these different things that were going on. And I mean, Molo was awesome. I really had fun with that.
Wishes?
Wishes. I mean, I made it one of my scenes, but I'm still very invested in like moving the exploration for the waterways forward, and seeing where that goes. But I'm also where Tyler was talking about making the trolls more complicated. This may tie into that some. I think that aspect of the cursed moon is really interesting as well, and I think it would be neat if it weren't just like set dressing. If there was, other dangers, effects, weird things going on under the cursed moon, other than just the trolls rising up and marching.
Superman with one stress left right now. So
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. I am going to stop the recording.